Welcome to my garden at Red Thread Farm in Franklin. I'm excited to share with you some of my favorite vegetables to grow in the shoulder season. Now the shoulder season in Tennessee is going to be the period right before the main growing season in early spring and the period right after that in the fall season. When we think about growing vegetables in the state, we typically think about tomatoes and peppers and beans and all those things that grow during the warm season. But you can actually grow in Tennessee up to 10 months, maybe even more, out of the year. So let's talk about extending our garden today with some really interesting shoulder season vegetables. We're going to start with broccoli. Broccoli, everybody knows this plant, right? Now, whether or not everybody likes it is another thing, but I think once you've had broccoli grown in your garden in the cool season, you're going to be a convert to broccoli for sure. Broccoli loves cool weather. It'll grow a little bit in the summer, but in Tennessee with our scorching heat, you want to make sure you get this in the ground early, and that's key. You want to start your broccoli indoors about 4 weeks before you put it in the ground, and that's going to be for our season about March. And then you're going to want to get it started early in the summer as well, sometime around July to get it started, or to buy it from a nursery to get it in the ground by August. Broccoli like this takes about 60 days to mature to this head. Let's take a look at it. So we know broccoli for this big head, this big leafy, it's actually a floret of flowers that happens here. And this is the part we typically eat. There's actually two other products that you're going to get from this one broccoli plant. Another is going to be the side shoots. So tiny shoots are going to come out from the side. So leave this plant intact after you cut the head, and you're going to get more smaller heads of broccoli that will grow. And the thing that I'm most interested in telling you about, besides the head, are these leaves. Broccoli leaves are delicious. They taste like broccoli. They can be cooked like a southern green, or you can even eat them raw. The most interesting thing that I found to do with broccoli is to julienne the leaves, to cut them up small, and to put them with cheddar cheese and sour cream, maybe a little mayonnaise and some onions, and create a raw broccoli salad. It's delicious. There's another plant in the same family as broccoli that I think you're going to love, but you might not have heard about. Let's go take a look. This little vegetable that looks like an alien is actually a vegetable called kohlrabi. If you're in Eastern Europe, then you would recognize this vegetable because it's very popular there. But in Tennessee, not so much. It's in the same family as broccoli, and it has a very similar taste, and it actually can be used in some similar ways. It just looks and grows totally different. And if broccoli is a little difficult, then kohlrabi is much easier to grow. So this plant is actually not a bulb. It's the base that forms that the leaves come out of, and then the roots come out at the bottom. So kohlrabi matures directly from seed in your garden in about 40 to 50 days. So it takes less time. It also requires a little bit less fertility than broccoli. Broccoli requires loamy, rich soil, and you're going to want to fertilize it with some kind of really good organic compost and organic fertilizers. And you'll need to do that a little bit with kohlrabi, but not quite so much. So kohlrabi is really easy to grow. It tastes great. There's really no reason that you shouldn't grow it. The only pest issue that you might have with kohlrabi, and with broccoli as well, might be caterpillars. Caterpillars, you'll start to see little holes that are being chewed in the leaves. And if you have just a few plants, it's just as easy to pick those off. But you also could use a product like Bacillus thuringiensis, which is a naturally occurring bacteria. We call it BT, easily found at your nursery or online. And you can spray that, and it's not harmful to any beneficial insects, but it actually will kill the caterpillars on your broccoli and your kohlrabi. In addition to eating the leaves, you can also cube up kohlrabi, peel this, and it makes a great vegetable to add to your vegetable tray. If you visit the UK, those beautiful villages and towns in Scotland and England, one vegetable that you'll see consistently growing in almost every cottage garden is leeks. Leeks are quite unusual to find in our state, but in Tennessee they grow really well in our shoulder seasons. These beautiful leeks taste like onions, but they have a milder, richer flavor, and they really enhance your cooking. Leeks are actually fairly easy to grow. The timing is the important part of it, making sure that you start them early enough for an early spring crop, or if you make sure you start them early enough in the summer so that you can ensure that you have a nice fall crop before there's a hard freeze. There are many different varieties of leeks, some that grow really well in the shoulder seasons and some that grow better in the freezing cold of winter. This particular variety is called King Richard. King Richard tends to grow really well in the shoulder seasons and into the summer. Other varieties can be planted that will overwinter in our area. In order to get these beautiful long stalks of leeks like I have here, you have to do a couple of things. One is to ensure that you have really nice, loamy, fertile soil like this. So similar to some of the other crops we've talked about today, you want to make sure that you use a really high quality mulch, a really high quality compost, and some fertilizer. But the biggest tip in order to get these long stems is to use a tool similar to this. Anything that you have that will poke a nice hole in the ground will do. But simply take that in your soil, in your well-prepared soil, put some holes in there. When you start leeks indoors, you're going to plant them in a peat pot like this. About 8 weeks before you're ready to plant them, put some high-quality potting soil in there, sprinkle some seeds on the top, and then cover them up. Keep them in sunlight and keep them moist. After about 8 weeks, you're going to end up with leek seedlings that look like this, and it's as simple as popping one of these seedlings in each of your holes. Those deep holes don't need to be covered in. You're simply going to water this the way that it is, and as the water fills in, it will bring the soil in there, and then over time the leeks will start to grow, and you're going to have a leek stem that's as deep as you can get that hole. To harvest the leek, you simply dig it up, cut these roots off at the bottom, and then cut the tops off, and they make a really beautiful addition to your refrigerator. Everybody loves sugar snap peas, and it's one of my favorite vegetables to grow in the shoulder seasons here in Tennessee. Peas are actually relatively easy to grow, but like with many of the vegetables we've talked about, timing is really key to make sure you get them in the ground and harvestable size before it gets really hot or before we have a hard frost if you're growing in the fall season. So peas take about 60 days. Look at the packet that you're growing and make sure you understand the timing for the cultivar that you're growing. They require a trellis. Something like this for the tall standard varieties of sugar snap peas. You can even find dwarf varieties if you're growing in a container or if you're growing in a raised bed or a smaller space. So be sure to check the packet for the seeds that you buy for that cultivar to make sure that you find out what the growing length of time is and what type of space that they require. They don't require much in the way of soil preparation. You want some decent quality soil, but even if your soil is not up to par, you may have success growing sugar snap peas. Now, sugar snap peas can be eaten delicious just raw. You simply snap the top off and peel the string off, and they're crunchy, can be added to salads, can be eaten raw. You can put them on a vegetable tray, and of course they can be cooked as well. One other thing that we enjoy about sugar snap peas are pea tendrils. That's these really soft parts at the tops of the stems. So you don't want to do this too much because you'll stop the growth of your plant if you cut off all the tops, but these delicious flowers and soft tendrils are wonderful in a salad, and we really enjoy eating them raw or cooked as well. This is bulb fennel, and not only is it beautiful, but it's a delicious crop that's fairly easy to grow in the shoulder seasons here in Tennessee. Fennel has an anise flavor, a little bit of a licorice kind of flavor, and if you enjoy that, you're going to love the way this tastes. Roasted and caramelized in your oven, there's really just nothing like it. And it's actually fairly expensive to buy fennel in the grocery store, so you'll also get really good value by growing this crop at home. And it's pretty enough to actually grow in your home garden just as an ornamental as well. Fennel isn't very particular about growing. However, you want to start it directly from seed in the soil and not from a transplant, since it can be kind of finicky if you try to transplant it. It takes about 60 days from seeding in order to get a small bulb of fennel, a baby bulb, and it takes about 90 days to get a full-size bulb like this one. Your fertility in the soil needs to be quite, consistent with nitrogen. Try to mulch your fennel as well to make sure that you can suppress weed growth, because it doesn't like to compete with weeds. But it's a great crop, it's easy, it tastes good. I think you should try it in your home garden. If you're a beginner gardener and this is your first year growing, these shoulder season vegetables are probably not the place you're going to start. But if you have a couple of years under your belt, or maybe you're an experienced grower, then trying some of these shoulder season vegetables is a really great way to mix things up and to create something new and exciting in your garden and to extend your growing season. So I highly encourage you to give these things a try. Be experimental.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.